Hey y'all, it's Kate from the Literary Apothecary and welcome back to my channel.
Today I'm here to talk about How to Seal Your Own Fate by Kristen Perrin. This book comes out today on April 29th, which is ironically my birthday. I loved this book. Thank you to NetGalley and Duton Books. I got the eArc of this. I was able to read it ahead of time and I loved it. This is book 2 in the Castle Knoll Files series. This is a mystery thriller with some coziness in it, I think. My general thoughts, as I said, I loved this book and I love this series. It's such a fun and unique way to write a mystery. It has great character development in here. From book 1 to book 2, the character development is fantastic. Our atmosphere made it feel like the house was almost a character in itself, which I love when authors do that. And there were plot twists for days in this book. So a spoiler-free summary. Now, of course, this will give away very slight spoilers from book 1. So if you haven't read book 1 yet, How to Solve Your Own Murder by Kristen Perrin, go read book 1, come back and watch this, and then read book 2. Or read book 1 and book 2, and then come back and watch this. I also have a video out for book 1, How to Solve Your Own Murder. I will link that in the description below as well, so you can check out that spoiler-free review as well. Spoiler-free summary. Like book 1, How to Solve Your Own Murder, this book, How to Seal Your Own Fate, is split into 2 different timelines. First, we have the present, and Annie Adams is just settling into Castle Knoll when local fortune teller Peony Lane crosses her path and shares a cryptic message. Only hours later, Peony is found dead inside a locked Gravestown estate, which is where Annie Adams has moved to. She inherited this estate in book 1. Once again, making Annie look guilty of murder. And then in our second timeline, we go into the past, of course. We are in 1967 in this timeline, and a year has passed since Emily has disappeared. Frances Adams, Annie's great aunt, I believe it is caught between 2 different men. Frances teams up with Archie to discover that the car crash that killed Ford Gravestown's family was no accident. This was such an exciting book to read. I loved it and I can't wait for more in this series. Let's get right into my review portion of this video. Our characters, like I said, I loved seeing our characters develop from book 1 into book 2. So much great development. And I loved our new characters. We got a little bit of new characters here. We got some characters that we heard about in book 1 but we hadn't met yet. And we got some completely new characters in this. And I loved them all. I think characters are some of Kristen Perrin's best categories. Our atmosphere and setting, like I mentioned before, our atmosphere was fantastic. I felt it all the time, and it made the house, the estate, feel like its own character, and I love it when that happens in books. Our setting was always present and easily felt, seen, smelled, heard, all of that good stuff. Our setting was always there, and I always knew which setting it was. Writing style, I felt like even though I loved How to Solve Your Own Murder and it became one of my top reads of last year, book 2 is an improvement from book 1, which says a lot because I loved Perrin's writing in book 1. I loved both though, and although it was still slightly predictable, less than it was in book 1. Which brings me to plot. Yes, it was a bit predictable, but less than book 1 because there were so many different twists and turns. While I thought I knew who the killer was, there were so many twists and turns in this book that it kept me second guessing what I thought I knew. Intrigue, as I said, despite thinking I knew who the killer was, because of all the twists and turns, I was intrigued the whole time because I could have been completely wrong. And while, if I remember correctly, I predicted who the killer was, I didn't predict how or why the killing happened, the murder happened. And I was never 100% sure because it went in so many different directions. Our logic in relationships, logic, check. Logic was always there. It made so much sense that it made it easy to make predictions because you just went along with what the characters were saying. I loved seeing our characters' relationships develop from book 1. It felt like a much deeper dive we got here in book 2 than we did in book 1. Book 1 kind of felt like just the surface value of our relationships. Book 2, we took a deep dive into some of these relationships, and I loved seeing that. It made things make much more sense. And of course, enjoyment. I loved every page of this book, and I can't wait for book 3. So like I said, this comes out today, April 29th. So if you've read book 1, make sure you pick up book 2 because you're definitely going to want to. My full review is on Goodreads and Storygraph. Those will be linked down below, as well as my spoiler-free video for book 1, How to Solve Your Own Murder. So if you want to know more information, go check out those links. If you got the ARC for this and you were able to read it, or you're watching this after release and you've read this book, let me know in the comments below, what did you think of this book, especially compared to book 1? Which one did you like more? I think although a lot of things have improved in this book, I think book 1 ekes it out just a little bit over book 2 for me because that gave me the introduction to this series. But I feel like each book gets better as it goes on, so I can't wait to see where book 3 takes us. As always, keep reading, and I love y'all to the moon and back. Bye.